actually, I think the fact that I'm going last is kind of appropriate when you hear my story. Because what I'd like to tell you is that a lot of times at the end, there's always a new beginning. And I wanted to tell you about my dad, who, he's a good York Countyan. My dad was born in York County, bred in York County, lived here his whole life, 72 years old. And he doesn't like change a whole lot. And let me you need to get a mental picture. My dad's 5'8", weighs about 350 pounds, kind of a big guy. And he likes good food. And a number of years ago, my dad was diagnosed with some heart issues, heart disease, and then diabetes. And so he had a lot of call to change in his life, a lot of new beginnings, needed to eat differently, needed to drop the bacon, needed to move a little more, needed to watch a little less TV. Well, Dad he would do it for a little bit, but then would kind of go back to the way he was before. This past April, I had a phone call, and my dad needed me to take him to the hospital. And we got to the hospital, and a year before, we had learned that Dad had congestive heart failure, so those visits to the hospital become a little more frequent. So this time when we went to the hospital, we got there, I kind of knew the drill, and we'd get there, we'd go through all of the important things. Dad would I knew all the nurses, the dietitians, the PT, we were friends now, and we'd get the same story. We need to change your diet, you need to move a little more. My dad would nod his head yes. But this time when we went, they said, you're not going to be able to go home right away. You're going to have to go to get some intensive physical therapy and occupational therapy. So we went on a little search to find out a good place for Dad to go to get this. Well, Dad actually started to lose some weight. So he went from 350 during the time he was in the hospital down to 300 pounds. Kind of good. I need to go on that diet. But his clothes were getting a little big. He was not real thrilled about going into the new hospital to get this therapy. So I thought, I know what I would do in that situation. I'd go buy some new clothes, right? I'd feel better. So I went out on a little expedition to buy some new clothes for my dad, and I was going through what he had, deciding what he needed, and then I came to his underwear. My dad's underwear, a little holy. And so I said, Dad, I'm going to get you some new underwear. What would you like me to get you? He's like, Fruit of the Loom, size 54. I'm like, really, Dad? I said, maybe boxers would work a little better for you. No, I like tightie-whities. I've worn them my whole life, and that's what I want you to get. I just want you to know, in York County, size 54 tightie-whities, Fruit of the Loom, tough to find. Okay? So we went around, I looked, and I thought, I also I'm kind of a good York Countyan too, and I don't give up easy. So I also went to Amazon and got some boxer shorts for my dad, because I've heard men tell me they're much more comfortable. So I thought perhaps my dad would enjoy a pair of boxer shorts. So I bought some boxer shorts and shared with Dad, I had a hard time finding tightie-whitey Fruit of the Loom size 54. However, I found some lovely plaid boxer shorts for you. And my dad was not very impressed. But I had a secret weapon, my daughter, his granddaughter. He can't really say no to her very easily. So when they arrived from Amazon Prime, overnight, it was great. She took them to the facility to deliver them to my dad. Well, he kind of gave her the whole conversation of, don't do that. Well, my daughter's studying to be an occupational therapy assistant, so she kind of is pretty good at this. So she talks her grandfather into at least trying them on. So he tries them on, and he came out and said, these are kind of comfortable. And he calls me at work. He said, Lisa, I feel a lot of freedom in these underwear. So I got to send the Fruit of the Loom size 54 tightie-whities back. And so this was in middle of May. So from that point on, my dad did not want to wear. In fact, now he started to wear shorts. This is a man I had never seen in shorts, except when he was swimming pool. So now we're in boxers. Now, they did slip out occasionally. 72-year-old man slipping out, you don't really want to see that. But he was feeling a lot of freedom. So it was very exciting, and it was cool to see my dad trying some new things. June 4th of this past year, my dad passed. And when I got that phone call again, to meet my dad at the hospital. I didn't know it was going to be the last time that we'd spend together. And my dad was actually fairly coherent when he had gotten there. And the first thing he told me was, guess what I have on? The red plaid ones. So proud. So a few hours later, when my dad passed, my brothers came in, my mom came in, and we were sitting around and talking about, oh my gosh, who would have believed my dad spent the last 3 years of his life with a new beginning, the freedom of boxer shorts? And so we thought it was very appropriate when we were making our arrangements. My dad wanted to be cremated. My dad was cremated in his red plaid boxer shorts.